Yeah, my mic's up. I'd like to call to order our first meeting of 2019, since we didn't have a January meeting of the Beavercreek Planning Commission. So I'll go ahead and open her up here. I guess first order of business would be roll call.
Ms. Akers?
Here.
Mr. Height?
Here.
Mr. Loftus?
Here.
Mr. Self is absent. Mr. Schreider?
Here. Make a motion to excuse Mr. Self. Second.
We'll just do that by general consensus. Yep.
All right.
Next item is approval of tonight's agenda. Were there any additions, anything that we need to know about that's not in the packet? All right, with that, I will need a motion to approve the agenda.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the agenda for tonight's meeting.
Mr. Chair, I second.
And we'll do that also by general consensus. All right, and the last bit of housekeeping we have before we actually start the meeting is approval of the minutes. Were there any changes or additions to the minutes as written? No, I'll just need a motion.
All right, Mr. Chair, I motion to approve the minutes from December 5th, 2018.
I second that motion.
And we'll do that also by general consensus. Awesome. All right. So our first item right now is a public hearing. We're actually going to combine the conditional use and the specific site plan since it's the same applicant. So we're just going to go ahead and hear the whole spiel, tip to tail here. So with that, I guess I'll let you go ahead and read the case.
This is case number PUD 066, conditional use 1 of 19, and PUD 066, specific site plan number 3. On an application filed by Noah's Event Venue, care of Chris Winkle, 47 Greenfield Drive, Milford Center, Ohio, 43045. The applications request conditional use and specific site plan approval to allow for the construction of a two-story, 7,027 square foot banquet center facility on 2.878 acres. The property is located on the east side of Mission Point Boulevard, approximately 700 feet south of Colonel Glenn Highway. The property is further described as Book 1, Page 3, part of Parcel 2 on the Greene County Property Tax Atlas.
Fantastic. I guess with that being said, we'll have the applicant go ahead and give his presentation on PUD 06-6.
Hi, how's it going? My name's Chris Winkle. I'm with Noah's Event Venue, and thanks for having us here. And so I'll explain a little bit of Noah's Event Venue. Noah's Event Venue is a corporate meeting and wedding facility, events facility that we have nationwide. We have 44 locations across the country. Closest one to us here would be, I would say it's either the New Albany, Ohio, outside of Columbus, or Southfield, Michigan, which is actually our 44th. We just opened that. So we do have, or no, I guess not. I take that back. I forgot. Blue Ash. Blue Ash is under construction right now. We do not have that open yet, but it is under construction. It should be open here, I think, the end of March or something along that line. And then we do have one under construction in Toledo, and so that would probably be the next one. So what we are looking at here is we're looking at a two-story facility. We have, it works out that there is only, the reason it's a 5,000 square foot footprint, the reason it's only 7,000 square feet is because we only have half of the second story. The concept goes in that on the first floor we have a main hall that will seat up to 250 people. That is our max. That is written in our contracts and everything along that line. We do not do any more than that because we do this nationwide. We know that once we hit over 250, you're uncomfortable, you don't have a good time, and that's the main thing that is our focus. You know, we focus on the look of the building, the land, everything along that line, because that's what we sell. And so we don't go above that because we don't want you to be uncomfortable. And because if you don't have a good experience, then obviously you won't come back and you won't book it to the next time. So that's why we hold that as a max. It actually can hold more if they wanted to do it, but you know, building department will ask us that and we'll just say nope, show them our contracts and everything along that line. So on the first floor we have that, and then we also have a main lobby that walks in. We also have, the big thing to know here is we only do catering, so there is not a full kitchen. All we end up doing with that is that we end up having a catering room, and it gives them access to it where they can come in, plate their food, warm their food. You know, we have a 2-comp sink in there that allows them to wash their stuff if they drop it on the floor, but we don't do the 3-comp, so then that way they're not tempted to do their dishes and everything along that line, because we don't want them to do that, because it just ends up being a mess and more of a pain. So that's what we have on the first floor. We also have a little cafe area that also is pseudo for our business corporate meetings. We end up doing with that is you get your donuts and your bagels and your coffee there, and obviously during weddings that's where the alcohol and stuff is served. And something to know about our alcohol and served: for any event that is over 50 people or has alcohol served at it, we will contract with either the Beavercreek Police Department or security to have security there during that time. We typically like to do it with the police department if that's available. And so we will do that. That's for all of our facilities. So that's just for us, the safety of the guest, and to ensure, that's our biggest thing, to ensure everybody's enjoyment there. So we do have a second story, like I said, that's over top. That is what we call our ceremony and our small conference room and our conference room. So you can have a smaller room up there or something along that line. I don't know, did I give you the floor plans or not? Yeah, okay. And so up there, so we can seat up to 140 people up there in the wedding venue. And so, and then it also has 2 little small rooms that we dub as small conference rooms. A lot of people rent those out for our corporate events, that off-site interviews, or just want to have a small meeting place to do it or something along that line. And those 2, so they double for that. So that allows us to do that. So the concept is that, you go upstairs in the second floor, get married, go down to the lobby area, have your cocktail hour before you go into the reception, and then go into the reception. So kind of how the concept works. You're looking at a modern design. The concrete, the walls are concrete that you're looking there. That's a prefab concrete that we're getting done here with FabCon here in Columbus. So they'll come to site and set those up. And then the wood that you see there is actually an aluminum panel that comes out of Canada. So a lot of these places that you end up looking at when you see that on any of the modern buildings, I found it a couple different spots that's coming out of Canada, and it's the same from all of them. It's just a fake looking heavy duty aluminum siding. And then we have the black metal awnings. So we have the metal awnings, and they actually have kind of a mesh awning in them, so they're not solid, so rain will come through. Some of the ones we're doing, I don't know if we'll do it on this one. We're not proposing it right now. Some of our southern ones where we can keep it green the whole time, we'll actually put ivy in it and let ivy grow on it to add a little bit more cover to it and everything along that line. And then on top, you'll see that's just our mechanical screening in order to do it. So we make it out of it's corrugated metal that it just blends, so it blends right in and ties into the black metal on the awnings. The sign is the same way. It's built just like the awnings. So it's got a tubular steel frame with the mesh on it, and then it just has, actually what we end up having is a stainless steel panel that actually in between a steel panel that's painted black, that's all powder coated black. And so that way we have lights on the side that just shine down on it, so in order to illuminate. That will be the only sign that we will have on the property. We don't typically do a monument sign just because we end up spending $10,000 to $15,000, $20,000, and we're a destination, and we find that we just end up wasting our money because most people nowadays, they type it into their GPS and boom, you're there. And so as long as we can get Google and those guys to put the right address in. So that's it. Can you flip to the site plan for me? So there's our site plan. What you'll see there in the site plan is obviously we have the sidewalk that goes the whole way around. Parking spaces, I think we're at 98. I think I got to lose one more, so that'll put us at 97. Our target is really we try to go between 100 and 90 is where we go. What we find is surveys that we've had to do across the country on this is what we have found that we average about 2.6 people per car that come to our events. Most of that that husband, wife, and kids, husband, wife, grandma, grandpa, and all that kind of stuff end up doing it. So it seems to do fine without having us be, too much parking lot out there. Trash enclosure will be constructed with the same material as the mechanical screening. It's a black corrugated metal, so it'll kind of blend in there. We've got some spaces there. I saw a comment about the landscaping there, needing that bigger or not. Either way, we can move it around, make it bigger. We just do it so that way we can get screening of landscaping the whole way around the 3 sides. Just help break it up and everything along that line. You'll see the detention pond there in the upper corner there. That detention pond, working with the developer and everything, so we're working on making that a shared detention pond. So when they develop up to the north, that will all come down and into that pond as well as ours. So that way we can do it, working with staff, it will be a wet pond, we'll have a fountain in it, and everything along that line to cover it. The also thing to note, and I know we'll get to it on the plat, but I just might as well tell you now, you see the radius on the property line in there, and you see kind of the future road. So what we did in working with them, they wanted to make sure that our property lined up with that. So we kind of did that, so if they do a future public or private road up there to service those up there, that property line's already set for them in order to be able to handle it. So, and I think that's it. I have materials here if you want to see what the concrete and stuff looks like. You know, I carry in my little box because I travel all over the country with, and it's easier to get that through security than creating a big board. So if you have any questions or want to see it, I can easily pull it out. So just let me know when that question and answer.
Thank you very much. Yep. Appreciate it. I guess next up we'll have staff give their presentation on no's event.
Thank you. The case you have before you is MXPUD 06-6. It's again the no's event venue. This is two cases all in one. They're looking to get a specific site plan approved, but the zoning of the parcel as an MXPUD, there's a list of permitted and conditional uses, and this type of use, an banquet center, is a conditional use. So one of the requirements is that we get a conditional use approval before a specific site plan is approved. So when we get to the end, I ask you to vote on the conditional use first and then the specific site plan. But again, the applicant's looking to construct a 7,500 square foot building on about 3 acres. I don't know if I'll need that battery, Melissa. Hold on. There we go. The property is located in the far northwest corner of Beavercreek. It's on the west side of 675, and it's south of Colonel Glenn Highway. It borders right on Riverside, and then to the north is Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. But you can see 675 here. The 3 acres that we're talking about is actually in the middle of the PUD, or towards the northern end of the middle of the PUD, and it's surrounded by the PUD. So it's not like there's residential to the immediate adjacency. The closest residential is over here in Riverside. It's, you know, I measured it's almost 1,200 feet to the nearest house. So there's quite a distance. As you can see, the parcel, or the 3 acres now is vacant. I mean, it's grassland. There's an office building to the south, and then this is a Greene County building to the north. But this is Mission Point Boulevard, and they're looking to construct at the very far end. There's already sidewalk along the majority of the frontage of the property. And then to the south, it's kind of hard to see in this aerial photo, but to the south there's like a creek, river, mostly a creek, but it's a drainage area, and it has running water in it. The applicant did a pretty good job of pointing out the site plan and the architectural elevations, but just wanted to point out a few things. They only have, there's a sole access point. It's got a little bit deeper of a stacking area, so you know, we're not concerned with having to have a left out or right out. I mean, this is not like it'll be a business where there's always something going on at all the time. It's, you know, it's got its hot spots. So I mean, we weren't concerned about having an extra wide access point. Obviously, the building's to the southeast area of the site. They have a drop-off area in the front. And we did add a condition that an additional landscape island be put in. I've already spoke with the applicant about this. It's back here because there's 20 spaces in a row. We typically try to avoid anything more than 15 just for an aesthetic purposes. You know. Applicant did state that there'd be a wet pond out to the northwest. They do meet the minimum number of parking spaces for this type of use. It's 1 for every 3 users plus 1 for every employee on the largest shift. Based on their numbers, they need 87. They've got 98 or 97 or 98, and they're going to bring it down to 97 with that added one that we are requiring. They did a good job of talking about the architecture. Staff thinks it's an appealing building. It's something new that we don't really have in Beavercreek, and you know, we welcome this kind of design and something unique. In terms of landscaping, they did a good job of having landscaping all throughout the site. We did have them add in a few small landscape, I guess, little islands on the perimeter of the parking lot, because those same islands, or these same little bump outs, are in the office space that's to the south. So we want to kind of keep that theme. but they are having a good amount of landscaping around the building and throughout the site. The lighting plan, they meet all the requirements. They show a 20-foot pole on a 2.5-foot base. You know, with residential not being a quarter mile away, we're not concerned with having the lower light fixtures. So, you know, they do have full cutoff fixtures of what they're proposing. So they meet all of our requirements in the lighting plan. And they already stated about the sign. It's the one blade sign that's on the northeast corner of the building, I believe. And it's 3 by 8. No concerns with that. There's 19 conditions in the resolution for the specific site plan. We didn't include any conditions in the conditional use because we have the 19 conditions in the site plan. They kind of overlap. But we do recommend approval of both the site plan and the conditional use, and I'll be happy to answer any questions following any public hearing. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Mr. Burkett. Seeing as this is a public hearing, now's the time if anybody has any input. And if you would, please step up to the mic, state your name and your address, and you'll have a maximum of 3 minutes to talk. I'll open the floor to anybody. All right, well, it's pretty easy, I guess. That being said, I guess we'll go ahead and close the public comment. And I will just start immediately to my right with Mr. Schreider for questions for staff or the applicant.
I have no questions.
You guys are gonna make this really too easy. Ms. Akers?
I have just one question for the applicant. Understood completely in compliance with the parking requirements. Have you had any discussions with the building that's right adjacent to it to see if you could do overflow parking there in the event the parking
We
is
have
an
not.
issue? Okay.
But we can.
Okay.
You know, it's the same people, the developer we're buying the property off owns that building next door
Okay,
to. so-
all right, perfect. That's all the questions I have. Thank you.
Mr. Height, any questions?
No, Ms. Akers quickly answered my question. Thank you.
I just had one quick question for staff. Is Mission Point gonna be extended as part of this build out, or is it gonna stay stubbed out
Right
like
now,
it
it's
is?
proposed to stay the same.
Unless
You
there's
would-
more development?
Long-term plans is to have, you know, Mission Point further south, but right now, you know, with this river, creek, I mean, there's no plans to go past that creek, so no, they're not going to extend the public road any at this time.
Okay.
It would be if there's development south of that creek, is that when they'll build the bridge and the sidewalk across and stuff like that.
Okay, perfect. That's the only question I
I
have.
didn't think I'd get out here with at least one question.
Yeah, I had to mimic my glorious leader here. Oh, and I did forget, was there any written input that we received, email or written? No. Okay. With that being said, like we just talked about, the conditional use will need to be passed first, and then the specific site plan in that specific order. So with that, I will go ahead and open the floor.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the conditional use, I think it's 119, but there are no conditions, so yes, that's all.
Mr. Chair, I second.
With that, we'll need to call the roll.
Mr. Height,
Yes.
Mr. Schrader,
Yes.
Ms. Akers.
Yes.
Mr. Loftus.
Yes. All right, so that means conditional use 119 passes. We will need another movement on the specific site plan.
Mr. Chair, I motion to approve the specific site plan, MXPUD 06-6, SSP number 3, with the attached 19 conditions.
Mr. Chair, I second.
And with that, we'll just need to call the roll.
Mr. Schrader,
Yes.
Ms. Akers.
Yes.
Mr. Height,
Yes.
Mr. Loftus.
Yes. And with that, PUD 06-6, both conditional use and site-specific plan number 3 passes. The last item that we have on our agenda tonight is just a subdivision. Just a reminder to my commissioners, this is a binding decision here, so it doesn't leave from here. There is no public comment on subdivision, so we'll hear a report from staff.
Thanks.
And then if you have any questions, and then we'll go ahead and call the roll.
This is actually fairly simple. It's the subdivision, what they're looking to carve out the lot for the project that we just talked about. So they're looking to carve out 3.1 or 3.177 acres. Out of the overall 55-acre lot, this new lot will be Lot 4. And, I mean, we routed it out to a bunch of different agencies, and we didn't get any negative comments, and they all recommend approval with minor changes, but nothing that's significant, just minor document changes. So, again, staff does recommend approval. I'd be happy to answer questions.
Okay. With that, I will open the floor to anyone, I guess, at this point that has questions on the subdivision. All right, well, I guess with that, we'll need a motion.
Mr. Chair, I motion to approve the subdivision request S19-1.
Mr. Chair, I second that motion.
And with that, we will call the roll.
Ms. Akers?
Yes.
Mr. Height?
Yes.
Mr. Schrader?
Yes.
Mr. Loftus?
Yes. That will pass subdivision S19-1. We have kind of a common theme going on today with Noah's event venue. We're pretty much done with our agenda today, so all we'll need is a motion to adjourn.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Second.
And we'll go ahead and do that by general consensus. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.